Hey guys! So today I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I want to read in 2023. It's been a really amazing year of reading. 2022 was the year that I fell back into love with reading. If you haven't watched my end of year video, go watch that. I kind of give statistics about what I read this year. I don't want to give too much information because it's in the video. And just like a lowdown of everything that I read this year. And then today I thought I'd talk about everything that I want to read in 2023 that's already on my TBR, on my bookshelf. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about all of those pretty much. So let's get right into it. I'm going to start off with fantasy books. Just to start off, the first book that I'm going to talk about is A Court of Silver Flames. So I finished reading, well, not finished reading obviously because I'm not finished, but I started reading the ACOTAR series this year. So I've read A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, A Court of Wings and Ruin, and A Court of Frost and Starlight. And I didn't end up getting around to this one just because I wanted a break from the series, and I know that this one follows a different character, like point of view wise. So yeah, I think in 2023 at some point is probably when I'm going to pick it up again, but I'm really excited to read it. But I'm also kind of trying to prolong it because I think she's coming out with more books in this series and I don't want to wait like super long between this one and the next one if they're all like connected again. So my camera died. So I charged it and I'm back with a peppermint mocha cold brew with a shot of espresso in it. I'm ready to continue the video. So the last book I was talking about was A Court of Silver Flames, and what I was going to say before my camera died was staying with the Sarah J Maas books. I want to start the Throne of Glass series. I'm showing this book because I'm going to read The Assassin's Blade first. I know there's opinions. I've read both sides. I've made my decision. I don't want to hear anymore. But yeah, I meant to start the series in 2022, but I just didn't get around to it, and I wanted to finish ACOTAR first. I think I'm probably going to start this before I read A Court of Silver Flames, just because A Court of Silver Flames is following a different character now. But yeah, because A Court of Silver Flames is following like a different character, I feel like I can take a break from it and start a new Sarah J Maas series. With that, I'm also hoping to start the Crescent City series. I did this thing this year where I bought like the first book of a bunch of fantasy series, and like, don't get me wrong, I have the entire Throne of Glass series because I am like positive that I'm gonna like it, and at some point Indigo was having a sale that was really good, so I bought the entire series with the sale, and like I used my points and stuff, so I ended up getting them all for like almost no money. But yeah, so I'm not sure which one I'm gonna start first. I'll do The Assassin's Blade because I'm waiting for the paperback for Crescent City to come out. I don't know why, I just really want the paperbacks. They like feel nice and like, I don't know, but I bought the paperbacks for ACOTAR, and like while they are very pretty, I now want the hardbacks so I can get different jackets to put on them. So it is what it is. Clearly there's an addiction. Anyway, moving on. This is The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. So I actually discovered this by accident. I was looking at another book on, what's it called? Book Outlet or whatever it's called, that like really cheap online store. And I was looking at the synopsis of them on Goodreads to see if like it was something I like and see like what the reviews were and stuff to see if it was worth buying. And it said like, and I read it and I really liked the summary, and then at the top it said like readers of The Hazelwood would really like this. So then I went to go look at The Hazelwood and I was like, hey, this is a really cool concept. So I don't know if this is a really popular book, if people know about this book, but basically I'll read the summary. So it says 17-year-old Alice Proserpine and her mother have spent most of Alice's life on the road, always one step ahead of the uncanny bad luck biting at their heels. But when Alice's grandmother, the reclusive author of a book of pitch-dark fairy tales, dies alone on her estate, the Hazelwood, Alice discovers how bad her luck can really get. Her mother is stolen away by a figure who claims to come from the cruel supernatural world where her grandmother's stories are set. Alice's only lead is the message her mother left behind: stay away from the Hazelwood. Alice has long steered clear of her grandmother's cultish fans, but now she has no choice but to ally with her classmate and fairy tale superfan Ellery Finch, who may have his own reasons for wanting to help her. To rescue her mother, Alice must venture first to the Hazelwood, and then into the world where her grandmother's tales began, and where she might discover why her own story went so wrong. So basically, it's like a book where like the main character is like inside of a book, which I thought was a really cool concept. And the book that like was related to it is called The Book of Living Secrets, and this one is like where these two best friends have a favorite book that they share, and they end up going into the book, and then the book ends up not being like how they thought it was gonna be. And so I was like, that would be so cool. Like, imagine me and like my best friend Rowan in like our favorite book world, and then like we're living in it and like going through it, and then things are like different. So yeah, I was like, okay, I'm gonna read this, and it has a second book to it. And then they actually released like a book that has like the tales that her grandmother wrote. So I'm gonna start with this and yeah, see how it goes, but I really want to read that this year as well. So the next book is The Zodiac Academy. I was waiting a really long time for this to come out like in my like local bookstore, like Indigo in Canada. For a really long time it was just like online, and if I'm being honest, like I really don't like the cover. Like I think that they could have done something a lot better, but I will say that the first page of each chapter is like really pretty. But I think everybody knows, well, not everybody knows about the Zodiac Academy, I'm not gonna say that, but honestly I don't even know what it's about, but I'll read the synopsis really quick. It says, I'm a Gemini, impulsive, curious, headstrong, a twin, heir to the throne I know nothing about, and it turns out I'm Fae. So already we've got fairies and like astrology, which are two things that I really like. So if you don't like astrology and like horoscopes and stuff, this probably isn't for you. But of course there's a catch. All I have to do to claim my birthright, I don't know, is prove that I'm the most powerful supernatural in the whole of Solaria. And sure, technically that's true, as I'm the daughter of the Savage King. Ooh, love that. But the bit they didn't put in the brochure was that every single fae in this kingdom would claim my throne if they could. My biggest problem is the drool-worthy dragon shifter who has his eyes on my throne. He and his 3 psycho friends are determined to make my time here hell. All I've got to do is survive, but fate might have other ideas. Damn it, why couldn't I have gotten a letter to Hogwarts? So yeah. And I think there's like vampires in it and stuff. Like there's a lot going on in this book, but I've heard it's really good, so I'm excited. The next book is the Shadow and Bone series. I know. I want to watch the show on Netflix, and I know that I've heard that like the Crooked Kingdom, or not Crooked Kingdom, the Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom duology is like better than Shadow and Bone, and you don't need to read it to get to like that duology. But I'm gonna read it anyway because I also want to watch the show, and I want to see, like, I've heard that like they do an interesting like mix up. So yeah, I want to read that this year too. The next book that I want to read is actually part of a series. I want to read like The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. My boyfriend, I wanted to read with him, and he said that the only book or books that he would read is the Lord of the Rings series and the Game of Thrones series. And I also want to read the Game of Thrones series. I just don't have it, so because I'm probably just gonna buy the box set. Like, I've watched the show, I haven't watched the prequel yet, so don't talk about it. But I've heard that the book series is a lot better, and like someone told me like parts of like different characters that are like written differently, and I'm like, oh my god, that's such like a better storyline. So I want to read the books and see like how it's different and just enjoy that. But yeah, so The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, and I do want to read the Game of Thrones series this year as well. Okay, so one series that I did start this year is the Touch of Darkness series, and I also started the Hades like counterpart. So I read the first of each series, and then I'm gonna tandem read the next ones. But yeah, so I'm gonna read like A Touch of Ruin next, and then I don't know if it's I think it's a Game of Retribution that goes with it. I really liked the first ones. I know that there's like mixed opinions and some people think that like the books are like really like whatever, but I love Scarlett St. Clair. I don't care. It's smutty. It's cute. Like I don't care. Like any negative opinions you have on any of her books, like I just will not listen to. Like I enjoy her. So sorry. Everyone, you know, has a different experience. Everyone's gonna like authors and like books differently, but like I love her. And like I think for one of my like a video that I want to do is like reading 1-star reads of my favorite books, and I'm definitely probably gonna have her books on that list because there's so many. Like I've read the reviews before and I'm just like, damn, that's an opinion. But after I finish this series, I want to move on to the King of Battle and Blood series. The Queen of, I think it's a Queen of Myth and Monsters is coming out. I'm filming this at the end of December, so it's coming out now, or it already came out when I posted this. I want to read this one first, obviously. And I think this is the Indigo. I thought it was the Indigo special edition. I think it is. We'll have to see. I'm pretty sure it was though, because I'm pretty sure the regular one is black. Anyway, this. So this one is about this girl is Isolde, and she's set to marry this vampire king, and she tries to assassinate him and it doesn't work out, and then he threatens, Adrian is his name, warns that if she tries to kill him again, he'll raise her as the undead. So faced with the possibility of becoming the thing she hates most, she seeks other ways to defy him and survive the violence and political machinations of his brutal vampire court. Except it isn't the court chains that fearing the most, it's Adrian and her intense attraction towards him. So yeah, I'm getting like a Hades and Persephone vibe, but I don't think at the same time that that's what it is. But yeah, she's coming out with so many other books that are like in like the Greek mythology world, and I'm really excited for them. Anyway, the last kind of fantasy-ish books / series that I want to read that I meant to start this year and I didn't is the Inheritance Game series. The Final Gambit just came out, and she's coming out with like more like, I don't know if it's a spin-off or what it is. I don't know anything about the book because I haven't read it yet. Like I know a bit what it's about, but I really want to read that this year, and I think like literally everybody knows this book. Like I'm probably the only person who hasn't read it, and that's kind of a problem. So anyway, we're gonna move on from fantasy to, what's it called? Like thrillers and stuff like that. Okay, so some thrillers. Hold on, I need a sip of so good. Okay, thrillers. So first of all, I want to read some Lucy Foley books. I have The Guest List and The Paris Apartment. These are again books that I was supposed to get to at the end of this year and I didn't, so I really want to read them in 2023. The Paris Apartment is about this girl who like leaves her job and then like she moves to Paris to live with her brother in his apartment, and then when she gets there he's not there and he's like missing, and then she starts to like dig into the situation, and his neighbors are like really weird and like not really friendly. And then like even though she came to escape her past, it's looking like it's Ben's future that's in doubt. Yeah, so then I think like she just like starts investigating the neighbors and stuff and like trying to figure out what happened. But yeah, so I really want to read that. And then The Guest List is about a wedding on a remote island off the coast of Ireland, and guests came to celebrate. Jules and Will. Will's a television star and Jules is a magazine publisher, and like because they're in the middle of the island, like the sea is a little choppy and their cell service gets really spotty, but everything is like normal or looks normal. Every detail's perfect, like they have the dress, the blah 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 blah, and then but perfection is for plans and people are all too human. It's not long after the cake is cut and the champagne popped that resentments and petty jealousies come out. Worse yet, the latest barometer reading shows the weather has shifted from fair to changeable and dark clouds are looming overhead. Everyone on the island has a secret, everyone has a motive, and someone won't leave this wedding alive. Whoa. Okay, so sounds like someone won't leave the wedding alive. Want to read that as well. The next one is If We Were Villains. I heard so much about this. This is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. I'm so sorry about that. So, and to the players, there were 7 of us then, 7 bright young things with wide, precious futures ahead of us. Until that year, we saw no farther than the books in front of our faces. On the day Oliver Marks is released from jail, the man who put them there is waiting at the door. Detective Colborne wants to know the truth, and after 10 years, Oliver is finally ready to tell it. A decade ago, Oliver is one of 7 young Shakespearean actors at the Delacour Classic Conservatory, a place of keen ambition and fierce competition. In the secluded world of firelight and leather-bound books, Oliver and his friends play the same roles on stage and off: hero, villain, tyrant, temptress, ingenue, and extra. But in their 4th and final year, good-natured rivalries turn ugly, and on opening night, real violence invades the students' world of make-believe. In the morning, the 4th years find themselves facing their very own tragedy and their greatest acting challenge yet, convincing the police, each other, and themselves that they are innocent. So I don't know if it's a... Oh! This is actually a very interesting format. There's like scenes and acts. Oh, interesting. I think it's like a dark academia. I'm not really sure, but I heard a lot of great things about it, and like everyone's been talking about it, so I meant to read it. Alright, so the next one is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides, and if you haven't read this or heard about it, you're living under a rock, which kind of means that I have kind of been living under a rock, but I've had it like on my shelf for a while, and it's been on my monthly TBR like 3 times this year, and I just haven't got to it. But this one is about basically like this girl who she shot her husband 5 times in the face and then never talks again. So she obviously is like now a big like mystery, like why isn't she talking anymore? So she has a criminal psychotherapist, and he's trying to get her to talk. So I guess it's like kind of like interviews with her, and he's trying to get her to talk and like what his notes are and stuff. So yeah, really want to read this year, and then read another one of his books, hopefully, if I like this one. I think another one he came out with is called like The Maiden or something like that. So yeah, this is another book that I really want to read. Next, The Final Girls Support Group by Grady Hendrix. So first of all, a final girl is basically, if you don't know, it's, I think my understanding of it is that it's basically the final girl in like a horror movie that gets killed, and usually they are killed like the worst and like tortured the whole time, and like they prolong it. So this is supposed to like pay tribute and stuff to horror films like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and A Nightmare on Elm Street and like Scream and like all of those movies. So it's about Lynette Tarkington, who's a real-life final girl who survived a massacre. For more than a decade, she's been meeting with 5 other final girls and their therapists in a support group for those who endured the unthinkable, working to put their lives back together. Then one woman misses a meeting, and Lynette's worst fears are realized. Someone knows about the group and is determined to rip their lives apart again, piece by piece. But the thing about final girls is no matter how bad the odds, how dark the night, how sharp the knife, they will never, ever give up. Yes, so that's what it's about. Like a final girl is always someone who's like running the longest, and like the whole movie is like you know, like usually like within like the first like 15-20 minutes like 5 people die, and then there's this one girl that's taking like an hour to kill. So yeah, I heard so many good things about it. I know it sounds kind of like morbid, but I really want to read this one. So the last kind of like mystery thriller that I really want to read this year is a series, and it's the Truly Devious series. So I got the box set from Book Outlet for a really good price, and they're in really good shape. So I really want to read that this year, and I think it's like a YA mystery, takes place in a school kind of thing. Yeah, Ellingham Academy is a famous private school in Vermont, founded by an early 20th century tycoon for the best and brightest students around. When Ellingham's wife and daughter were kidnapped, the only clue was a mocking riddle listing methods of murder, signed with the frightening pseudonym Truly Devious. Their disappearance became one of the greatest unsolved crimes in history. Many years later, true crime aficionado Stevie Bell is set to begin her first year at the academy, and she's determined to solve this cold case. That is, she will solve it when she gets a grip on her demanding new school life and her housemates, the inventor, the novelist, the actor, the artist, and the jokester. But Truly Devious takes a surprising turn. The past has crawled out of its grave, and someone has gotten away with murder. Truly Devious is the first novel in this series. Kind of reminds me of the Holly Jackson series, Good Girl's Guide to Murder. The third one for that just came out, but I have the paperbacks for them, so I'm kind of waiting. I might read the ebook and then just buy the paperback when it comes out. I really like that series, so I'll probably read it again. But yeah, kind of reminds me of that, like, except it's not in a private school. So I'm gonna move on to like adult fiction, like literary fiction, contemporary romance type of books. I feel like I'm probably the only person who hasn't read this, and it's just because like I didn't have time. Like when this came out, I had just broken my ankle, so I didn't have time, and then like, you know, now it's holidays and blah blah. Anyway, so I'm gonna read it this year, and I want to kind of reread / skim It Ends With Us. I'm gonna read it. The reviews seem to be mixed, so we're gonna see, but I do want to read this year. Yeah, now that it's been like a year and my reading has kind of like matured, I can kind of see why people don't particularly like her writing and like what she writes about, but I still like some of her books. I think grown enough to see past, like to be able to like know that like topics that she's writing about are not okay, and I don't need her to explicitly say that. And I think that like a lot of the things that like with It Ends With Us, like a lot of those internal dialogues that Lily was having are real things that like real people who experience that think in their mind and like tell themselves sometimes. Anyway, that's just my piece on it. I think if you're gonna read these, you should be mature though, like definitely 18 plus, maybe even like 21 plus kind of thing. So I'm gonna read that this year. The next one that I really want to read is Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. I've heard a lot of great stuff about this too. I actually don't, I think it's a memoir. I don't really know what it's about, but I don't want to know. I've just heard that it's really good and I really want to read it. And the cover is so cute. Yeah, and this is, I hate that I got it and it has this on it, but this is very much like, I think like when you're in your 20s, you should read this. So yeah, I'm going to read that this year. So the next one I want to read is actually a duology. It's the Fine Print, or I guess Fine Print and Terms and Conditions. Well, it's not a duology, actually, it's a series. The final offer is coming out in January, I think. But yeah, so I want to read this year. And this is the, if you don't know, it's the Dreamland Billionaires books. So I got the Bloom Books edition, which actually is like really nice. And I think it has, I don't know if it has bonus stuff, but it's just a newer version. It's not the self-published, but it's the same thing. But I got this because I wanted to make sure that I got the same covers for when the new one comes out. The next one that I want to read is Dial A for Aunties by Jessie Q Sutanto. So I accidentally bought, what is it called? Four Aunties and a Wedding on Book Outlet, not realizing that it was the second book. So I bought this at Indigo and then it freaking went on sale at Book Outlet like 2 weeks after. But anyway, so I bought this and I want to read it. It's like a mystery comedy, but yeah, I think it's supposed to be really funny and good. So yeah, I want to read this year. I want to read both of them, but so next I want to start is the Addicted Calloway series, Calloway Sisters series. So this is the new version, the Berkeley Romance version that was released in Canada, I think in the US as well. So I'm just gonna like slowly wait for them to come out in this version. Addicted to You and Ricochet have already come out. I'm really hoping that they put out the rest in this version. Otherwise I'm just gonna have like those two in this version, and then I'm gonna have to, like, if I want to continue the series, I'm gonna have to go on like Book Depository or something and get them elsewhere, which I will do eventually. Like, I have so many books, like a lot of these are books that I need to read, so that's why I'm not too rushed on it, but I really do want to start the series and like join in on the hype and like understand why we love it. But everyone knows about the series. I'm not gonna bother reading like the synopsis. If you want to know about the series, like just Google it, go on Goodreads, watch any YouTube video. Like everybody has probably read, everybody has probably read this. So The next one that is another book that probably a lot of people have read that I haven't is Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. So she's come out with, or maybe she came out with them before, I don't know, but there's 2 other books, More Than Words and Most of All You, that are kind of like the same kind of idea. But yeah, I really want to read this. I've heard it's really sad but really good, so hopefully I'm gonna find time to read this year. I think at the end of 2023 I'm gonna look back on this video. I might film a video just being like, did I read the books that I said I wanted to read? Maybe when I do my 2023 wrap I'll mention like whether or not it was a book on my like want to read video. Oh, Archer's Voice is another one that I really want to read this year. So the last 3 books that I have are all Taylor Jenkins Reid books, and this is on her backlist, so I really want to read these. There's other Taylor Jenkins Reid books that I haven't read yet, like Daisy Jones and the Six, and Carrie Soto is back. I want to read these 3 though. Like I love that they match, and they're all like kind of romances / like adult literary women fiction. So yeah, I really want to read When True Love's Forever Interrupted and After I Do, and just like finish up her backlist. The reviews for Carrie Soto is back were kind of like mixed. Like I heard that some people really loved it, or other people said like if you don't like talking about tennis 24/7 that you're not gonna like it. So I kind of got put off from reading that one, but I've heard really great things about like all of these, so I'm wanting to knock these out this year. I know I said that these were the last ones, but I lied. There's a bit more. So another series I want to start is the Twisted Love series. I did only buy the first one for this because I want to see if I like it first, but I'm pretty sure that I'm going to. So I want to read this year. So it's Twisted Love, Twisted Games, Twisted Hate, and Twisted Lies. So yeah, this is book 1. So I'm gonna probably start this hopefully soon, because I really want to get into this, and there's a friend of mine wants to read it with me, so we're gonna buddy read it hopefully. But yeah, so those are all like the novels. I did want to mention like a few graphic kind of novels that I want to read this year. So I started the Heartstopper series, or like whatever graphic novel series. So I want to read the rest, so I bought the other 3, and I think she's coming out with a 5th one soon, so I want to read these and then watch the show. I don't really remember what platform it's on, but I want to watch the show. And then another kind of graphic novel series, or that start off as a webtoon series that I want to read, or yeah, read, is the Laura Olympus one, and this is a Hades and Persephone one. Yeah, so I really liked, like, I love Hades and Persephone, like, books. So when I saw the graphic novel version, I really wanted to read it. But yeah, so those are all the books that I want to read this year. Like obviously there's more that are kind of on my shelf that I haven't read, but these are ones that like when I was looking at my shelf and I was like, what do I really want to read this year? Like if I had to pick, like, I was about to say 20, but let's say like 40 books that I really, really want to be like, I read this year, and like be able to like talk about with people and know about with people kind of thing. These are it for sure. And like a lot of these were like start to a series, like Crescent City series, Throne of Glass series, you know, The Fine Print, Twisted Love, Touch Darkness, you know, Zodiac Academy. So whether or not I will finish reading those whole series this year, I don't know. Do I have room for them on my shelf? I don't know. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment down below about what you want to read this year. Yeah, so leave a comment, like, subscribe, do all those things that you know you do on YouTube. And yeah, I'll see you in my next one. Thanks.